Okay, I'm doing this outside because my partner's in the house and I just don't like him being all up in my business all the time. The verses today, this is day 9, which makes it January 9th. I lost my finger check. Okay, this is January 9th, 2021. And the Bible reading for today is the J9, chapter 27 through 29. Now, this is probably the most problematic. I hate to use the word problematic because it makes it seem so insignificant. But this is the worst read in the Bible when it comes to rape, incest, condoned by God. Let's see, chapter 27. I hope you can hear me. Jacob tricks his father into giving him his blessing. Jacob tells Esau, I'm old, decrepit, I don't know how much longer I'm going to live. If you could go out and hunt and get me some meat. In the King James Version it says venison. In this New American Bible it just says, I think it just says meat. It doesn't give a specific meat. And then it says to make him the meal out of the meat and bring it, Esau's to bring it to Jacob. And after, or Esau is supposed to bring it to Abraham, and after Abraham, or I'm sorry, I'm getting this mixed up. There's too many people in this story. Esau is supposed to hunt, get him some meat, make a meal, bring it to Isaac, his father, and after his father eats it, he'll give him a blessing. Now, I don't understand the difference between blessing and birthright, okay? From what I can tell, okay, the birthright was already, see, remember, we already went through the birthright thing where Jacob tricked Esau into giving him Esau's birthright. Too many hymns here. So the birthright, I'm assuming, from what I understand, would be, you know, the maids, baloney, slaves, the land, the clothing, the cattle, all the livestock. That's what I would think that would mean. And then the blessing, from what I could tell, the blessing is just some magical incantation. There's Salem. Do you hear Salem? He's closer to the... Okay, Salem, I have that set up to get the tree. Now, go on. Get out of there. So anyways, well, what happens... Okay, so Esau's supposed to go hunt, bring the meal back to Isaac. And then Isaac will... Oh, make the meal, bring it to Isaac. Isaac will eat the meal and then give him the magical incantation. But so Esau goes out. Well, Rebekah heard her husband. Remember, Rebekah's Isaac's wife / what, half sister. So she hears Isaac say this to Esau. Well, remember, Rebekah favors Jacob over Esau, so she comes up with this plan to tells Jacob, go out there, get a couple goats, I'll kill the goats, I'll make the meal, I'll use, now this does not make any sense, I'll make the meal and I'll put the goat skins on the not hairy parts of it, because remember, Esau was supposedly very hairy. I'll put the goat skins on you, and your dad will think it's you because you'll smell like the fields Remember, people didn't bathe hardly ever back then, and they didn't have any soap. They were very disgusting, smelly people. And I'll put these skins on you, so when he feels you, you'll feel like Esau. How hairy was Esau that he could be mistaken, his body hair could be mistaken for the thickness of goat fur? That doesn't even make any sense. And like, how did you put it on how did you make it stick onto his hands? And wasn't that really disgusting? Like, she didn't tan the hides. I mean, she didn't have time to tan the hides. It's just nonsense. Anyways, so this would trick Jacob, and it works, okay. Jacob did trick Isaac into, giving him the magical incantation. And why I say it's probably just a magical incantation is because, first thing, the birthright was already given to Esau, who sold it to Jacob. And the blessing itself was like, oh gosh, I'm gonna look this up to tell you how stupid this is. Hold on. My hands are cold from being out here in the cold, so it's hard to work with them right now. Sorry about the delay. Okay, so here's the blessing. The fragrance of my son is the fragrance of a field that the Lord has blessed. May God give you the dew of the heavens and the fertility of the earth, abundance of grain and wine. Let peoples serve you and nations pay you homage. Be master of your brothers, and may your mother's son bow down to you. Cursed be those who curse you, and blessed be those who bless you. That's a magical incantation. So anyways, Jacob hightails it out of there. And then Esau comes in right afterwards, and he says, here's your meal. And Isaac realizes he's been tricked. And so Esau, am I using these words right? Did I say Esau? Esau comes in, or begs him, just give me something, give me something, give me something. And he gives him a magical incantation of his own. It's subpar to what he got from Jacob. I don't know. Oh. It's more like a curse. Far from the fertile earth shall be your dwelling, far from the dew of the heavens above. So I guess it means he'll suffer with drought. By your sword you shall live, and by your brother you shall serve. So I'm assuming that means that he'll have to fight his way through life, and his brother will always be somehow dominating over him. But when you become, further on reading, when you become restive, whatever that means, you shall throw off his yoke from your neck, whatever that means. Sounds like eventually he'll get sick of it and he'll say, I'm out of here. But anyway, so then the next chapter, the very last verse. Remember, I don't know if I told you, I think I did in yesterday's reading, the very last verse of chapter 20, no. Right, chapter 26. The last verse of chapter 26, it said something about Esau marrying a woman who was a Hittite. And it said something about they became the embitterment of both of his parents. Isaac and Rebekah. No, I'm using this wrong. It's not Rebekah. I'm getting these people confused. This is how confusing this Bible is. I'm forgetting everybody's name and how they're related / married. let's see, because Leah, no, I think it was Rebekah. Okay, yep, it is Rebekah. Okay, okay, so here's the very last verse of chapter 26. Esau married a Hittite woman, and verse 35 says, but they became a source of embitterment to Isaac and Rebekah. Close curtain. It doesn't explain, doesn't seem to explain what that meant. Well, get this. So after the chapter after Jacob tricks his father out of the blessing. Here's a different story, a completely different story about why. Oh, I forgot to add this. When Esau came in, he says, I'm going to kill my brother after my father dies. And Rebekah heard that, and so she quickly packed Jacob up and said, go to my brother Laban's house and stay there until your brother gets unmad at you. So then there comes the, I think it was in that chapter, yes, it shows Rebekah is a total bigot. It says, I'm sorry I have to do this, but I'm reading from a hard copy. I can't just look at a screen here. So this is the very last verse after Rebekah packed Jacob up and sent him away so he wouldn't get murdered by his brother. Rebekah said to Isaac, I am disgusted with life because of the Hittite women. If Jacob also should marry a Hittite woman, a native of the land, like these women, what good would it be to me? It's my cat now getting in the way. So in other words, she's a racist. So then and that's when you're clued into the last verse of the chapter 2 before. Yeah, chapter 26, verse 34, where she says, where it says, but they became a source of embitterment to Isaac and Rebekah, the Esau marrying the Hittite woman. That's when it's like, they're a bunch of racists. So anyways, chapter 28 says something totally different about why Jacob was packed up and sent off. And basically says both Isaac and Rebekah agreed that they were both bigots, and they didn't want Jacob to marry a Hittite woman, so he sent him packing to Rebekah's brother Laban, his uncle, so he could go and rape one of his nieces, whichever one he chose. Laban's daughter, pick whichever one of Laban's daughter and rape her. And that's basically what happens. Let's see. Oh, chapter 29, there's this weird story about Jacob getting to the land around where Laban lived. And he met some, were they shepherds there? Yeah, shepherds. Standing by a well. And there was a big rock on top of the well, and apparently it was huge because it said that they had to wait for the other shepherds to arrive so they could move this big rock. So apparently it was a very heavy rock. And so then Jacob ends up moving the rock himself. I think the only thing this story is trying to convey is how physically strong Jacob is, because I don't see any other point to this story. Well, the shepherds Jacob met knew Jacob's uncle, and so they took him to his uncle. And Jacob finds his niece which one was it? Rachel, attractive. Now, Rachel had an older sister named Leah. And Jacob told Laban, his uncle, I'll work for you 7 years in exchange for your daughter. I'll barter 7 years of work for you to get to rape your daughter, Rachel. And Laban said, okay, no problem. Nobody asked Rachel what she thought. And so he works the 7 years, and Laban, instead of giving him, now this part, another one, you know these stories are fantasy because they don't make sense. Laban gives, because Leah's older, it's their custom to marry the older off first. Why? I don't know. It just doesn't even make any sense. But Laban gives Leah to Jacob instead of Rachel. Now, how did Jacob not know the difference? Like, was he blind? I don't understand. Like, if he was, he wouldn't find, but it says he found Rachel attractive, physically attractive, so obviously he wasn't blind. So anyways, when in the morning after, Jacob realizes it's Leah and not Rachel. What? Again, who asked Leah what she thought? In other words, this is consensual rape, which by me consensual, I mean it was consensual among the father and, would that be a cousin, to rape the woman? So, yeah, this is why this is so problematic. So, anyways, and Jacob doesn't even want her. So he raped a woman he doesn't even want. You know what that's going to lead to? It's going to lead to spousal abuse. Well, it's already led to spousal abuse. She was raped. But it's going to lead to more spousal abuse of rapes and beatings. So, anyways, being that Leah's opinion doesn't matter, Laban says, if you work for me for another 7 years, I'll give you Rachel. Now, according to this scripture, it seems like he gave her Rachel 1 week after he married Leah. Jacob married 1 week after Jacob married Leah. I don't think, it doesn't seem like, from what I read in both the King James Version and this New American, that he didn't have to, like I was taught that he had to work 7 years and then he got another 7 years and then he got Rachel. But according to this, I don't think he did. I think sounds like a week after Jacob married Leah, Laban gave him Rachel. And so these sisters are married to this cousin. So it's total incest city here. And that's the thing about it. Like, Isaac, I mean, it's called the long line of incest. What was it? Abraham married his half-sister. Isaac married like his sister or his niece. And, Esau, I forgot to mention this in the last chapter, when Esau found out that his parents were such xenophobes, he ended up marrying, what was it, his cousin, his first cousin. I mean, this is just consistent inbreeding, and that's what this isn't, I think back then, being a tribe meant, or being a nation just meant being of your own relatives. I don't think it had anything to do with, like, the location where you lived, or your melanin of your skin, or the language you spoke. I think it all had to do with, are you related? If you're related, then you can have sex. Just messed up stuff. Anyways, and then here's even more problematic is, if that wasn't bad enough, we're here in chapter 29. Let's see. chapter 29, verse 31 starts the baby game that God plays, and God's a total dick. God's the biggest asshole I ever seen. To women, he is. To men, he's great. Or to white men, anyways, he's great. But to women, he's a dick. He's the biggest pimp I know. In chapter 29, it says, God realized Jacob did not like Leah. So what he did, instead of telling Laban, instead of telling Jacob, why are you allowing your nephew to rape your daughter? He said what he does, because he's so kind to women, he allows Leah to get pregnant and doesn't allow Rebekah to get pregnant. So Leah, because that's all good women are good for, is having babies and doing all the housework, he allows Leah to have 4 children while keeping Rebekah sterile. And so Jacob, because she's a baby maker, he starts liking Leah more than Rebekah. And then, of course, Rebekah's going to get jealous. Okay, you asshole of a God. Instead of saying you shouldn't be raping these women, you play this stupid baby game. So anyways, that's the end of the reading for today. I know where tomorrow it's going. I know what the story tomorrow is going to be, because I learned all about this since I was, in youth group in school, or in church, and in school, because I went to a parochial school. So we'll talk about it later. I hope you like my little Christmas tree over there. I'm going to plant that, and come spring, it's a potted plant. I think it's a blue spruce, if I'm not mistaken. Let me go see it. Ow. I was leaning down on my leg. Ow, my leg hurts now. It's a Norway spruce. That was our Christmas tree. I had it in the house for about 2 weeks, and then a couple days after Christmas, we brought it out here. Okay, thanks.